Hi, this is Joe, and this is the Filmjoe Podcast, where film talk happens.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, I'm Joe, your host, and I'm here with Carlos.
Carlos here.
Carlos there. And welcome to the podcast where we talk about films, filmmakers, trends, the good, the bad, and the not so bad, all in the spirit and for the love of film. And today we're talking about one of the most exciting genres of films, the boxing movie. And when we say boxing, you think...
U-Haul.
U-Haul. No, you think...
Rocky.
Rocky,
Yes.
Exactly. And that's where we all go towards. I mean, that's our go-to boxing film that we all think of when it comes to the genre. But there's quite a few, and there's quite a few really great ones that have populated the cinematic landscape. Now, to everybody listening, we just want to let everybody know there will be spoilers to the films that we'll be discussing today.
Yes.
Yes, spoilers, massive spoilers.
But these are movies that aren't pretty recent. I mean, they've been around, so if you haven't seen them, shame on you.
Exactly. It's your own fault.
Exactly.
Yeah. So before we knock you out with our new episode,
That's kind of gonna. Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Props.
I wrote that down too. Okay, but first, it's time for news bits. So I just recently saw the full trailer for The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my stance on it is because I'm not a big Ezra Miller fan because
Yeah, I
he's a
don't like him
douche.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a douchebag. He's a jerk. He's a degenerate. But I actually got tempted to watch this one, but because of Michael
Keaton.
Keaton, he is Batman.
Yeah.
I'm predicting that this may kind of like spark his career in a new direction with possibly his own Batman film, as an older Batman, which would be
Yeah.
great. I mean, especially since next year he's got Beetlejuice 2
Mhm.
coming out, which is hugely anticipated. So I can't wait for Beetlejuice 2. And I'm kind of curious about, The Flash. And another trailer I saw was for a new film called Moon Garden.
Okay.
It pretty much, I think it answered my prayers as a film cinephile, a film buff, a film fan. Because I've always said, why don't they just make a movie the old-fashioned way with old-fashioned special effects and no digital cameras and no CGI?
Mm-hmm.
And because, the 80s and 90s produced some of the greatest visuals in that capacity.
Yeah.
Somebody answered my prayers. The movie is called Moon Garden, and it's from director Stephen Harris. I'm not familiar with his work, but he was an editor on Moonfall and another film. So
Okay.
this is his first big film. The film uses no CGI and is shot in traditional 35 millimeter film.
Oh, okay. Old school.
Old school. So it's all going to be practical special effects and stop motion animation.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
You got to check the trailer out. It reminds me of Guillermo del Toro
Mm-hmm.
in a way, kind of like a Pan's Labyrinth kind of thing, or Pinocchio, his new Pinocchio film.
Yeah.
But
Say it
it's
again.
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
What did I say?
Pinocchio.
It's another way.
I don't think there's an accent on the I.
Well, in some countries they say Pinocchio.
Okay. Yeah, sure, man.
Pinocchio, excuse me. But it reminds me of that. It gives me that Del Toro vibe, and it looks really, really good. So hopefully we'll see more projects like that. More films come out that don't rely heavily on CGI and just go traditional.
Yeah, hopefully.
So now
Now we do the thing where I ask question and you respond.
the Watch Report.
That's a question.
Okay.
That is the question.
So what have you been watching?
It was finals week, so I got to watch my computer screen type up an entire 12-page essay.
Wow, that's not an essay. That's an entire mini.
It's a movie script.
That's a movie
It's a movie
script.
script.
Wow. Yeah, well, I saw you toiling on that essay for what was it, 3 days?
Yeah,
Like
about
3
3 days.
days.
I was pumping that sucker out.
Yeah, I'd see you every now and then emerge from your cave with a look of frustration and anger towards the world in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're done.
I am done. I got a good grade on it too. 290 out of 300.
Well, congrats.
I'm damn glad.
That's good. See, so all that work and frustration paid off.
Hell yeah.
Outstanding. So
How
being
about thyself? What have thou with thinneth?
I have thinneth Not any films. I finished watching that series, Love and Death, with Elizabeth Olsen.
Yes.
The true story about a murder case in Texas and back in like 1980. It was on, I think it was on Prime or something. Because there's two versions of that same story, two different series. One's on Prime and the other one's on Hulu. Did not see the one on Hulu. Saw this one.
Okay.
With Elizabeth Olsen. Oh, geez. It's mind-blowing. It's incredible. Elizabeth Olsen is an actress. I'm glad she's not wasting her time with, stuff like, what's that show, the witch,
the
Scarlet Witch,
WandaVision.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a good show, but not acting in the real sense.
Yeah.
This series can definitely get her real roles down the line in serious films as an artist, as an actress. So it was pretty damn good. Started watching Fubar, which is fucked up beyond all recall, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger on Netflix. Wow, this is movie because it's like a movie.
It's just a long movie.
It's a long 8-hour movie, but it plays out really well. The formula of Schwarzenegger in comedies and stuff. He plays a retiring CIA agent who finds out his daughter also is CIA and has to rescue her, and then they're forced to become partners. Great concept, a lot of fun. Schwarzenegger in his golden years now looks like he's just having a lot of fun.
I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about what critics say or whatever. Or, he's done his thing. He's made his mark in film as a legend. Same thing with Stallone, who's got the series on Paramount called Tulsa King, where he plays a mafia guy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But yeah, it's a great series. It's a lot of fun. I'd recommend it. It really is a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know which series you should also check out?
Which one?
Also by Stallone, where he is in reality TV now.
Oh.
The Stallones,
Oh,
with him and his family.
Why, Stallone? Why? That sounds horrible.
Is it like Keeping Up with the Stallones?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. For the respect and love that I have for Stallone, I will not watch this. It sounds really, really bad. Yeah, but I did hear about that. And,
Yeah.
I just kind of shook my head and go, whatever. So what do you say we dive into today's episode?
I say.
All right. So boxing films.
Boxing.
They make us cheer. They make us cry. They make us root for the underdog. They help us deal with our own inner demons that that these characters go through. So it's a vicarious experience that we go through watching these boxing films. And there's been a ton of different different types of films, but the three that we've chosen, I think, are pretty outstanding. And one thing I didn't realize when I finished the list about these three films, they're connected in a very special way. Which I'll tell you when we're done with all three.
Okay.
All right. So first up is pretty much certified classic, and the one that just set the standard for boxing films in general.
I've been coming in for 6 years, and 6 years you've been sticking it to me. I want to know how come. You want to know? I want to know how. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Because you had the talent to become a good fighter, and instead of that, you became a leg breaker. Some cheap, second-rate loan shark. To living? It's a waste of life.
A small-time Philadelphia boxer gets a supremely rare chance to fight for the World Heavyweight Championship in a bout in which he strives to go the distance for his self-respect. The movie is Rocky from 1977, directed by John G. Avildsen, and it stars Sylvester Stallone, Burt Young, Talia Shire, and the late, great Burgess Meredith. One of my favorite films of all time. If I had to, top 10 films of my favorites, it would be towards the top 5.
Top 5, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because you watch it over and over and over again, which I have, and you root for him the same way when you know he's going to lose. You're like, he's going to win, which, by the way, again, the spoiler, he does not win this bout. But it's not about winning. It's
about leaving your mark.
Leaving your mark.
Making yourself heard.
Yeah, and proving that you can. And but no, this movie's amazing. And it's kind of, what's amazing about it, it's a reflection of Stallone's real life in struggles to make it to where he wanted to be. His dreams, to achieve his dreams. When Stallone, he came out to LA, was it maybe 1975? He had the script, and he had just a few bucks to his name and brought the script to Hollywood, had it read around, and one studio loved it. They thought it was fantastic. So they offered him $350,000 in 1977 money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Or 76 money, or 75. So we're looking at what, 600,000, 800,000 in today's dollars. He only had about $106 in the bank.
Yeah, that would look pretty fucking enticing then.
It would. So there he is faced with, he's like, it's just him and his dog Butkus. And so he's like all excited, but they're like, we just want the script. And they're envisioning, I think Marlon Brando was considered, Paul Newman, Warren Beatty, your typical Steve McQueen, all these actors from that time who were very hot, they were considered for that role. Mm-hmm. And Stallone's like, and this took balls. He said, no, it's my script. I'm going to be in it. And he stuck to his guns. Now, keep in mind that at the time, before he got the offer for the script, he had to sell his best friend, Butkus, the dog, for like $25 because he couldn't feed him. He couldn't take care of him, and it broke his heart. But he found him a good home, and he sold him for like $25. So now comes the point, he gets the script, blah, blah, blah. He gets the offer. He sticks to his guns. He must have had somebody really who believed in him at the studio. I think it was MGM. Mm-hmm. They must have really believed in him because they backed him up. And so there was a deal made where he would take a cut, if not just points off the back end for his acting. So he wouldn't get paid. Mm-hmm. And he got paid for the script. And he was put in to star in the film. But of course, this lowered the budget.
Of course.
I mean,
because now you don't have that grade A actor or that like title A actor, whatever,
Yeah, your A-listers.
Yeah.
And so they went, first thing he did when he got that big fat check, he went back, looked for his dog and bought him back. Mm. And he paid, $15,000 for his dog. So the dog went on to star in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2. And unfortunately, the dog passed away in 1981. And there was a beautiful little tribute that he gave online for his dog, that they posted online recently. But, he died with his best friend. So it was very sweet.
A way to go,
Yeah. But one thing I really love about the film that really entices me is that, first of all, you've seen all the Rockies.
Yeah.
And, you got your cliche slow motion,
and then you see all the water drops.
There's none of that in Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Not one shot is done that way. There's no slow motion because he wanted to keep it as authentic as real. Of course, he threw it out the window when Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12 came out.
Yep.
But yeah, he threw that out the window. But in the initial, there's no slow motion shots. It's gritty. It's realistic. Even the dialogue rings true when he's hanging out on the streets, when because he was a collector for the mafia, collecting debts and stuff. It's very authentic. And I think he drew a lot from himself, from his life back east, growing up and struggling to become an actor. So again, this does mirror a lot of Stallone's life of rags to riches, or more, just achieving your impossible dream. And this is a freaking impossible dream because from 75 that he came out here with just his dog and $106 to 1978, he had the #1 boxing film ever, the first film to ever win a sports film at that, to win Best Picture. He got Best Actor. He had an Academy Award in just 3 years.
That is from 0 to 100. Insanely quick.
And, a lot of people dog Stallone for being a brainless muscle, but the guy's a brilliant writer. He's very intelligent, very smart, very profound, and has a really positive perspective on life. And again, it shows that in the film because in the film, audience expected him to win.
Mm-hmm. But you're going through this entire movie, you're thinking, oh, Rocky.
Yeah. And he loses. And what is his expression? He throws his arms up as he's victorious because he went the distance with a champ. He went from the streets to a contender to fight, the heavyweight champion of the world. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful story.
You tried stepping in the ring with back then Apollo Creed.
I would just step out. Yeah, I wouldn't last 1 second.
I'm good.
He'd swing, he'd miss because I'd be outside of the ring. But altogether, the film won 9 Oscars. It's just incredible. And again, it led to like countless sequels and up to the Creed films. But it's a trip because again, because it was Stallone, it wasn't an A-lister. The budget was really, really low. You remember the ice rink sequence?
Yeah, when
On their
when
dates?
Adrian's there, but he's just walking on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just them. And it's beautiful because it's just them in the entire, there's nobody else in the world. And it's so sweet and so beautiful. You know, it's one of the most romantic sequences in the film. That was unintentional. They were supposed to have hundreds of extras in the background, but they couldn't afford the extras. So Stallone's like, fuck it. Let's just.
Fuck it, nobody's around.
Nobody's around. And you know, it's one of those happy accidents that became something that made the film even more special, a more intimate level of romance. It was beautiful. Also, there was an audition for Apollo Creed. So Carl Weathers and Stallone are in the ring. This is during the auditions. They call Carl Weathers, who plays Apollo Creed.
Right.
And they're going, you know, okay, they start sparring in the ring. Or in the ring, not
During
the ring.
auditions?
Yeah, for the
Hell of
audition.
a way to audition.
Yeah. And
Hey, I'll tell you what, you go a couple rounds with me, you get the party.
right. And well, it kind of played out that way because Carl Weathers was really into it, and he hit Stallone a little too hard on the chin. And Stallone is like, hey, you know, calm down, you know, this is just an audition. And so Weathers was like, well, he's like, if I'm able to audition with a real actor and not a stand-in, he would be able to do a lot better. He did not know that Stallone was the star. He thought he was the stand-in. And the director's like kind of laughing in the background. He goes, yeah, he is the star.
He is the star, yeah.
And so Weathers just looked over at Stallone, he goes, and then looks back at the director and he's like, okay, well, maybe he'll get better. Immediately, Stallone's like, you got the part. He took him in right there. And it was, Carl Weathers definitely is another element in the film that, the cockiness, the ego, the arrogance. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
And, I love him in anything he's ever done. And he's still working. He does, he's on The Mandalorian on Disney.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And, but they were really into it. I mean, they were so into the boxing matches and so forth that I think Carl Weathers, he suffered a few injuries while doing the final fight. In fact, Stallone, he received bruised ribs.
Eesh.
Because they were like, let's just hit for real. It's not like
light taps
holding back the punches. No, none of that. Also adding to the authenticity, Burt Young, who plays Paulie, the lovable drunk buddy and the brother of Adrian. Another just character that you just love to hate. Because he's an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot and a drunk. In fact, when, according to Burt Young, during the filming the scene where Paulie comes home drunk, there was an actual drunk hanging out, and he came into the location, this drunk. And
on set?
On the set.
What the?
And the drunk told Paulie, you're not doing it right. Let me show you. So the young, he told the man, Burt Young, he's like, okay, well, show me how. So the drunk, who is actually drunk, he shows her, why you walk like this and you do this, and Burt Young was like, cool. And that's where he modeled his drunk character from an actual drunk. So if you wonder about the authenticity, that's as authentic as you get. Also, one thing that's really another is the music, the rising trumpets of almost Olympian trumpets in the beginning of the film, which
it's recognizable now.
Oh, it's iconic. And watching it over and over again, I just watched it again recently, and you get the MGM logo when the movie starts, and immediately you got da, 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 and then the titles roll in grandeur, almost as if the director was like, who Rocky is. This is Rocky. This is the film, almost as an established staple of cinema. But this was the first time we saw Rocky, or know of Rocky back in 76 or 77. I thought that was pretty audacious. Coming out like, this is who we are, Rocky, with the trumpet.
Like such a name to it. Too.
Yeah, we are a name, but they weren't. And I thought that was pretty bold and very confident of Alvison, the director, and Stallone, to say, hey, this is a grand epic film. This is big. This is Rocky. You don't know us, you will. And sure enough, every Rocky from that point forward opened with that same title opening, which gives me goosebumps every time I watch it to this day. Did you know that, what the word stallion because he's the Italian stallion.
Yeah.
You know what that is in Italian?
Yeah.
Stallone.
Ah.
So in Italian, stallion is Stallone. So he calls himself the Italian stallion. Did you know, what's his name?
Sylvester?
No, the character.
Oh,
Rocky what?
Balboa.
Nope.
What?
Robert Balboa.
What in the hell is that? What?
It's well, it's official canon, but it's never mentioned in the films. None of them. But it's in the first script. It's Robert Balboa.
Robert Balboa.
Yeah, doesn't have that same
Robert
Balboa. No, it doesn't have the same kick to it.
It's Rocky.
What made this film work, and I love all the Rocky films, but to me, this stands out as the best Rocky film next to Rocky Balboa, which I think technically was Rocky 6. I think so, yeah. It was 6th in the series. But this one stands out as the best because it's raw, it's gritty, it's honest, and you feel the hunger for victory and to rise above and that you don't feel in the other films. And I'm not talking shit about the other films. And they're all great. I love them. Even the cheesy, Rocky versus Drago?
Ivan Drago.
Oh, yeah. Ivan, yeah.
Oh, my God. That's my favorite, man. I don't care what you say. That's my favorite.
People love it. And I do too. But I'm like, it's not the best.
I say it's the best.
Oh,
or even with the Clubber Lang. Okay, you're dead, fool.
Rocky 3.
Yeah.
Okay, that was badass. I mean, cool. Yeah. With Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
Now, everybody is like, they'll play it during workouts now. But it was just an amazing, I thought it was a lot of fun. But yeah, Rocky 4. Oh, wait, Rocky, 4, right?
4.
It was not
4
the best.
For the Rush. That's the best.
The fucking robot that comes out, that Polly.
Robot. Oh.
Yeah. There's a scene where they give Polly a robot with a female voice and it has a tape deck in it. It was almost like Rosie the Robot from the Jetsons almost. It was shit. I mean, it was cringy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a bad film, but it wasn't the best. But have you seen the recut version of Rocky 4?
No.
It's called Rocky versus Drago.
Mm-hmm. Rocky
4. And it's Stallone's ultimate cut of the film, the way he wanted it.
Okay.
It is fantastic. It pretty much, like me personally, I watched Rocky 4 and I go, yeah, there's a good movie in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Stallone actually made it that film. And it's great. He re-edits a couple shots. He takes out the fucking robot. The robot is gone.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, the robot was such cringe factor. It was horrible. But he cuts it in a way where there's more emphasis on Apollo Creed, which is really interesting because who's the center focus? It's Rocky. But he puts more emphasis and focus on Creed and kind of balances out the dynamics of the Rocky universe. And it's a great cut. It's amazing. It's not a Snyder cut, which he just kind of clusterfucks everything and redoes everything. No, this is actually really, really good. And to me, it made a pretty decent film better. If you ever get a chance, being that it's one of your favorite Rocky films, I recommend you watch it. Now, let's move on to the next. Now, without exaggeration, I'd have to say that this is definitely a masterclass of filmmaking and another iconic boxing film.
The Bronx Bull, the Raging Bull. Let's hear for the great Jake LaMotta, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm the best. I can take him more than anybody.
You're dead, you're married. Leave the young girls for me.
There's no way I'm going down. I don't go down for nobody.
The story is about the life of boxer Jake LaMotta, whose violence and temper led him to the top in the ring, but also destroyed his life outside of it. The film is called Raging Bull from 1980, directed by Martin Scorsese. The film stars Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. This one is not your typical boxing film.
No, not at all. Explain how.
Well,
was like the one thing that first stood out to me is like that it's, black and white.
Yeah, the black and white. And you notice it's not that glorified glamour type black and white like you mentioned in Young Frankenstein or stuff like that. That is flat, it's dark, it's gritty. It's very street.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, Jake LaMotta was the real Jake LaMotta. Looking back at his life, he said that he would think back of, or have dreams about his life. And as you can see, he had a very tumultuous life. He would dream in black and white. He never understood why. And Scorsese took that and go, wow, okay, then we will do it in black and white. As there was many reasons why, but that was one that just kind of solidified it. That's how Jake LaMotta saw his life. because it
So kind of looking back at everything like he saw it in black and white, so we get to see it in black and white.
exactly. And
That's cool.
yeah, and Scorsese's decision to use a very flat, gritty, very contrast like black and white was brilliant. Scorsese's work with the camera is amazing. Which is why he is Martin Scorsese, one of the greatest filmmakers in cinema. Did you notice how the boxing scenes were shot?
Define.
Okay, and it's easy to miss, but I caught this. Rocky, for example, you got the cameras, from like the stands, right? You got a camera beside the ring. You got a camera looking up from outside the ring, a camera inside the ring, above the ring, and so forth, right? You have multiple camera angles.
Yeah.
Scorsese utilized only one camera inside the ring.
Okay, yeah.
For 99.9% of the time you see the boxing matches, they're all shot inside the ring with one camera. And this
To make you feel like more immersed?
immersed and as if you were the third boxer in the ring or the referee.
Yeah, I was about to say, so I was the referee, man.
You're the referee in that. And it was a brilliant choice. Looking at the style that Scorsese implemented in this film, he doesn't glorify LaMotta's life. This is a character piece or a character study in an amazing boxer in boxing history who was a very destructive, bad person. He was not a good guy. This is something that, because it's based on LaMotta's memoirs, and he realized, of course, the older you get, the more you go, damn, I was a fucked up individual when I was younger. and that's what it was all about. In fact, when he went to go see this in the premiere, he was the technical advisor.
I mean, it would make sense. Let me just advise my own life.
Yeah, and which is beautifully, brutally honest for coming from him. Because you'd say, you would think he would say, no, I don't want to show that ugly side of my life. But he does, because he's being brutally honest. This is who I was, and which makes it even more poignant and touching.
Poignant.
That's
a 5-syllable word.
Poignant damn, keep missing.
Damn. One of these days I'll hit it, man.
But, he said he went to the movie premiere and it brought him to tears. And he turned to Vicky, who was his wife in the film. I guess they're still friends, or they were still friends at that point. And he turned to her and he said, was I really like that? And she looks at me, she goes, no, worse.
Oof.
Yeah. Reality smacking you in the face like a brick wall. And it was just, to tell you how I love this is one of those films that's been on the top 10 lists for many, many decades. And it's just an amazing film. It won 80 Oscars. Best Picture.
Did you say 8 or 80?
No.
I don't think you can win. Okay, I wanted to make sure I heard that right.
8 Oscars.
8 Oscars.
Yeah. No, it won.
I think there's a limit that you
yeah. There's a sign outside the Academy Awards that says maximum 12.
Maximum of 10.
Maximum 10. You can't win any more. But it won 8 Oscars, including Best Picture. Just catapulted Scorsese as one of the best filmmakers. In fact, interesting backstory with that. Scorsese, just a couple years earlier, had made a film called New York, New York. And it was a huge bomb. And it just did horribly, critically, box office. It was a disaster. And it led him to depression. And he overdosed on cocaine.
Oof.
And he wanted to die. So he's in the hospital, and his old friend, Robert De Niro, who he had done Taxi Driver with, comes to visit him, and they're talking. He goes, hey, man, I have a script here that he had brought to him before, and Scorsese just wasn't interested. He goes, you have to do this. Read it. You're going to want to do this now, especially now. Scorsese reluctantly read the script and was inclined. He's like, I have to do this. And some say that it was De Niro who saved Scorsese's life. And because there's a lot
to be able to pull him out of that
darkness,
yeah.
And I guess he was able to identify with LaMotta's places of darkness and these inner demons that he was dealing with. And it turned out to be one of Scorsese's defining films. And then you have Robert De Niro, who is the ultimate method actor. He got in shape, like cut, and muscled up for the boxing and LaMotta at his peak. And he also gained like 50 or 60 pounds
Yeesh.
To play older LaMotta.
My respects, dude. That is tough.
It is tough. I mean, it was kind of fun, I guess. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm going to have the, the lasagna and the spaghetti, and I'm going to eat anything I want. But it was actually kind of dangerous. In fact, Scorsese had to shut down production for a little bit because he was concerned about De Niro's health. I mean,
you're kind of over pushing it, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
you're too big.
I mean, you think about it, the average film productions are like 3-4 months. Mm-hmm. And so within 3 to 4 months, he gained this weight. That's not healthy. No. That's dangerous. But, you know, De Niro, especially since before he gained the weight, he went through thousands. You know, he went like 1,000 rounds of boxing. Mm-hmm. To prepare for the part, which came with training. He trained with Jake LaMotta.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. So Jake LaMotta himself taught him, which is perfect because it gives you that this is not how I punch. I punch this way. I move this way. So you get that authentic LaMotta moves for the training for the film. And it got to the point that he thought De Niro, he could actually become a professional boxer. He got that good.
Damn.
Yeah. And another...
I think it would have been cool to have like a little exhibition fight at some point, like De Niro versus whatever boxer was, you know, pretty relevant at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
he
kind of cool.
He actually did a couple of actual boxing matches out in Brooklyn, and he won 2 of them. So, yeah, I think he was, yeah,
man.
You know what? Imagine if they had filmed those boxing matches. I mean, that would be just gold. I mentioned earlier about the black and white, but mainly another reason why he decided to go black and white, of course, so it wouldn't glorify, because color film, you know, colors, they kind of glorify a situation, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're reds or blues, or you can get really expressive with colors. Black and white you can't, because it's bad and good, black and white, mm-hmm. and it's grim and it's gritty. But another reason was that, you know, because of that, he wanted to differentiate himself from other films that were out around the same time or in production or had been out. Rocky 2. There was a movie called The Main Event with Ryan O'Neal and Barbra Streisand. Avoid that one like the plague. That was shit. That was really bad. And another film called The Prize Fighter in 1979. You know, he wanted to kind of like get away from that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, with everybody else doing the same thing, you want to stand out.
Yeah, you know, and so he wanted to say, everybody's doing a boxing film. And if you think about it, how much boxing do you actually see in
Rarely.
Very little. And what you see is pretty fucking impressive. I mean, you know, you got the dramatic music and the shots to the head and the blood just shooting out like a gusher.
Yeah.
Incredible, which was actually, I think, chocolate syrup. Yeah, because
just like Psycho.
Yeah, and but it was an intense shoot, like I said, you know, for De Niro, but also for Joe Pesci. He actually got a couple ribs broken. You remember the scene when they're sparring and he's punching him in the gut, and he has that sparring cushion on his chest.
Yeah,
he broke his rib.
Oh, through the cushion?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And luckily the two were good friends at that point. That's the first time they'd actually worked together and met each other. But to achieve the feeling of like being real brothers, the two of them actually lived together and hung out all the time during production.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and because of that, they became best friends to this day. But luckily they had developed that bond because, yeah, he broke his rib.
I mean, if some stranger that I'm working on something with breaks my ribs accidentally on purpose, I'm still gonna be fucking pissed.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, we cool now, but damn, man.
But damn, relax.
And also, finally, the music in the film it's sad, it's depressing, it's real, you know, almost like an Italian opera mm-hmm. of sorts. All that music already pre-existed. There was no original score for the film. Pietro Mascagni, who was the composer he was an Italian composer who already had this music out, and Scorsese decided to use his score or his music for the film. It already existed, and it did epitomize and kind of capture the feeling, the tragedy and the downfall of a person who had all these demons inside, and he was not just fighting in the ring, but inside himself. Mm-hmm. But great score. It really drives home the point. So now we'll go to our final entry. Mm-hmm. This one, yeah, this is when we first saw it. Well, when I first saw it and you first saw it.
You first showed it to me.
I didn't tell you the ending, and we'll get to that, and it pissed you off. But it was a damn good movie.
It was.
Okay, so this one will bring you to tears, but also inspire.
Mr. Ben?
I owe you money.
No, sir.
I know your mama.
Thought you might be interested in training me.
I don't train girls.
People see me fat, say I'm pretty tough.
Girly, tough ain't enough.
There's magic of fighting battles beyond endurance. It's the magic of risking everything for a dream that nobody sees but you.
Okay, so the story is about Frankie, an ill-tempered old coach who reluctantly agrees to train aspiring boxer Maggie. Impressed with her determination and talents, he helps her become the best, and the two of them soon become very close and develop a close bond. The movie is $1 Million Baby from 2004, directed by the man himself, Clint Eastwood. And it stars Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and Hilary Swank. Now, we were into like boxing movies for a little bit.
Yeah.
And
We
like,
had a little episode.
and I'm like, okay, well, let's watch $1 Million Baby, which I had already seen. Your impression?
Now, see, it was good throughout the entire thing. I was thinking, fuck, man, I want to take up boxing after this. I want to start, going back to the gym a little bit. And then we get to the fucking end, and I'm just like, all of a sudden, I want to stay in the safety of my own bed. Stay the fuck away from any chairs.
Yeah, this one is a heartbreaker. I mean, basically, the story is about, like it's this old grumpy coach. She kind of like just comes out of nowhere. She comes to LA and she needs a boxing coach, and he's kind of
Dickish, brutish,
dickish and rudish, and a misogynist.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't believe women should be boxing, but she's in search of something, and of course she's estranged from her family, and she needs somebody, but she also looking to achieve her dream as a professional boxer, and she wins him over. And you want to get a cranky old character who's lovable at the same time. Clint Eastwood,
yeah.
And Hilary Swank was fantastic. This is the second film I'd actually seen her in. There's a film called Boys Don't Cry.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this?
No.
Where she plays this young lady who she's gay,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in love, from afar with this other young lady. So she disguises herself as a boy and kind of starts something up with her. This happens in a little small town where there's a lot of homophobia, a lot of discrimination against gays and lesbians. And the movie culminates in they beat the shit out of her, and it's horrible.
What's this called?
It's called Boys Don't Cry.
Damn.
And it's a great film, but I mean, not great. It's like, yay, it was fun.
Great as in it was good, and it was
yeah.
It brought emotions to you.
Yeah, and because back in the 80s, maybe early 90s, I mean, there was a rampant element of hate crimes against gay people.
Mm-hmm.
Not like now. I mean, people have their opinions. As, I don't like this. Okay, that's fine. But back then, they'd actually beat the shit out of these people and hurt them, and just with hatefulness. And
That's fucked up, man.
No, it's just unacceptable.
Horrible.
And this film drives home the point in a very graphic way. It's, oh, man. But I was really taken by Hilary Swank's performance. She was fantastic. And she does a fantastic job here. Kind of like this she's like a little lost puppy, who's looking for a home.
Mm-hmm.
And she finds it in the least likely place, in a grumpy old man who doesn't want to train her.
It's just my sheer determination, old man. You will train me, one way or another.
And what's beautiful about the film is that it, the whole backstory of Frank, played by Clint Eastwood, is that he's estranged from his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't spoken in years and years and years. Maybe that's, part of the reason why he is the way he is. And in her, he finds the daughter that he neglected, that he abandoned. And she finds in him a father that she never had, or that she needed in her life. So they build this bond as father and daughter, and it's, God damn, it's beautiful. And it just makes you cry at one point.
Yeah. Just fucking say the least, yes.
And then you add in Morgan Freeman, who's the narrator of the story.
Mm.
He's kind of the observer. The story is told from his point of view. And, oh, God, you got Morgan Freeman's
voice of God, man.
Oh, man. And you're like, so he makes you cry telling the story that you're watching that's already making you cry. You're just a gushing, baby. But it's just a beautiful film.
The $1 Million Baby.
The $1 Million Baby.
Yeah.
So anyway, and you know why the title, right? $1 Million Baby. Well, two reasons. Why? Because it's $1 million bout, the last film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last film. The last
fight.
The last fight's for $1 million. But it's also, you know those World War II bombers? They had a picture of a woman at the nose.
Yeah.
That's $1 Million Baby.
That's what the picture's called, or?
That kind of picture on a plane. That's $1 Million Baby. It's for good luck. And but it was just it was beautiful. And of course you have the ending. She goes through all these bouts, and he kind of tries to shield her because, again, reluctantly, he becomes her father throughout the film. He starts to protect her, and they tell him, it's like, hey, by protecting her, you're actually doing her harm. She wants to grow. She wants to box. And of course, this culminates to him finally giving in, and he fights this, I forgot, she's Hungarian or something.
Somewhere.
Yeah, she's an ex-prostitute who is known to fight dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the fight culminates, and she's winning, and she's doing well until that one round when she goes back to her corner, and the dirty boxer punches her in the back of the head or something.
Yeah.
Our $1 million baby falls, hits the ground, and hits her head on the chair and snaps her neck, and she becomes a paraplegic. Yeah, not exactly where I thought that film was going to go.
No.
But
no, not even close. And you want to know something?
Mm-hmm.
When you first showed this to me, I was thinking, oh man, we're about to see her win, and yeah, everything's going great. Until the point where the other boxer turns around and punches her, and she starts to fall. I don't know if you've ever seen scary movie. What was it, 4? But one of the movies that they parody in that movie is $1 Million Baby.
Oh no!
Where they're doing like a mock fighting boxing match, and same thing. The other boxer is okay, so the female boxer is the ex-wife of Chris Pratt. What was her name?
Oh yeah, okay, I know who that. The blonde.
Her, right? And her opponent is Mike Tyson.
Oh god! Oh god!
As the women's champion.
Oh god!
Right. So the match ends, and Mike Tyson's character. Oh no, the female character throws a punch, and then Mike Tyson ducks. Right, and she starts swinging out of control, and she starts falling, and is almost about to land on her neck on the chair, as if like mocking $1 Million Baby. And that's the whole thing. And as soon as the movie's playing, I'm thinking, fuck, that's where that's from. That's where this is parodied.
Yeah, and it was shocking. I mean, first off, your first thought is, okay, she's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's revealed that she is a paraplegic.
Yeah.
She'll never walk again. You're like, okay, this is where it's going to go. She's going to get back. She's going to start walking again. And
she's going to recover.
And she's going to fight again. And he's going to take her to the championship or something.
Yeah.
No. And then, of course, the heartbreaking ending where, she tells him, help me die. And he won't do it. He won't. But he does. He enters the room at night and injects her with the adrenaline and lets her go. Mm-hmm. And, oh, fuck. If that is not the most heartbreaking sequence.
That shit breaks you, man.
Oh, and it was criticized at the time by these groups for people with disabilities that basically is like, oh, wow, that's your answer. A crippled person or person with physical disabilities can lead a great life. There's no reason. So you're saying that a person with disabilities who wants to die should die. And, so it came out a lot of criticism for that. Mm-hmm. And I think, for one, this is every case is an individual case. I'm not, I do believe and I do, applaud those who've had debilitating injuries or born with disabilities who have risen and have done great things in their lives. But you do have some of those who just say, I can't. Especially in this case scenario, this is a specific character who was born a boxer, who is a boxer, who bleeds as a boxer. And that's been taken away from her. That's her life.
And just when you were starting to make it and claim, make a claim to your name.
Right. And not to advocate suicide in no way, shape, or form, but that's her character and she can't deal with it. Whether you consider it a weakness or you consider it a reality or whatever you consider it, that's the character. Mm-hmm. And also, we're so used of the typical Hollywood happy ending.
Yeah. And
it subverts our expectations. You go, it's going to go right. It's going to go right. Oh, fuck, it just went left. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, but it's so effective. I think when you subvert the expectation of an audience, I think a film is more effective that way. It doesn't have your typical happy ending. And at the end, as Morgan Freeman is narrating, it turns out that what he's narrating is a letter that he's writing to Frank's daughter, which breaks your heart even more. And then you hope for a reconciliation with him and his daughter. And it's just a beautiful piece. I mean, the film did very well in the box office. Yeah, it played in the theaters for about 6 months.
Yeesh.
Now, that's something we don't get nowadays.
The last one to do that was Top Gun.
Yeah.
And that was Top Gun.
And that's because they were going the route of what films, hey, if it's playing well, let it play.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's time for it to retire to its next phase, whether it's cable, television, streaming, DVD, whatever, then, but the movie's still riding high. And that's one thing that they would do back then. So played for that long, it did very well. Critically, it was a huge success. Box office, obviously, it did very, very well. One thing that's interesting about all these 3 films that I mentioned, and I didn't think about this, they all won Best Picture. All 3 films.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. I'm putting the list together. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one. And, they all won Best Picture. And also interesting, Rocky won. And again, when we talk about boxing films within circles of cinephiles, you're going to go, what's the best film? What's the best boxing film? And some will say Rocky. Some will say, no, it's Raging Bull. No, it's Rocky. No, it's Raging Bull. Same producer for both films.
Oh, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, Irwin Winkler and Robert Chardoff produced both films.
Huh.
And it's cool because they are, whatever film you think is better, they're both, without argument, the most iconic boxing films in film.
Yeah.
Ever. But, you got 2 types of films. You got the winning underdog, and you have the man who's great, but is dealing with his demons, inner demons, and his inner struggles.
Mm-hmm.
But both, one's dark, one's fun. One's realistic, one's not. Well, but they're both kind of realistic in their own way.
Life ain't always sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, but they're both amazing films. And all 3 of them, they cover different things. Hilary Swank was also in the next Karate Kid.
The remake or?
No.
The original.
It was Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, and then it was the next Karate Kid.
Got you. Okay.
And it was pretty bad. But there's a connection between that and Rocky.
Uh-huh.
Okay, because Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3 are produced by the same people who did Rocky. John G. Avildsen directed The Karate Kid.
Huh.
In fact, The Karate Kid 2 has a song that was originally meant for Rocky 2.
We couldn't use it there, so I think we'll just tie it in here.
Yeah, and I forget the name of the song, but next time you watch Karate Kid 1 or 2, I think it was 1, there's a song in there just like the montage song. Mm-hmm. And if you really listen to it, you're like, whoa, that
sounds like Rocky.
It sounds like a Rocky song. And it's because it was intended for Rocky. So with that being said, there are other great boxing films that have come out that are really notable. You have Creed 2 from 2018 with Michael B. Jordan and Stallone. Really good, in my opinion, the best of the trilogy, because the last one was okay. The first one was damn good. The second one was amazing because it had Drago's son. Yeah. And that was really cool. Another one is 2015's Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, that one was tough.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And Jake Gyllenhaal just pops out performances back to back to back that make you go, fuck, this guy's amazing. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Fighter from 2010 with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale. Mm-hmm. 2 stellar performances. Cinderella Man, 2005 with Russell Crowe. Have you seen this?
I don't think so.
Wow. It's a heartbreaker, directed by Ron Howard, I believe, who did the Da Vinci Code and all those films. Really an amazing film. Russell Crowe just is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then you have, of course, another one that I mentioned earlier, 2006, Rocky Balboa, which I think is the second best Rocky film in the entire Rocky catalog, because I think it kind of went back to its roots.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Or still better.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, boxing films and sports films in general, I think they're amazing. They rise us up to new heights. They inspire us vicariously to achieve our own personal best. It's not about being the best in the world, but being the best person you can be. Mm-hmm. And it's just, they help us grow, and they help us be honest with ourselves and give us hope through the character arcs that they present us with the best and the worst, and that's within us all. And I think they all identify. We can all identify with these films at one point or another, one way, this way.
I mean, we all had like a sort of conflict where we had to be the underdog.
Yeah, And so they thrill us, inspire us, and they're just a lot of fun and great films. And that's a genre that I don't think is going away anytime soon.
No.
You know, there's not that many, but when they do come out, they do well, especially when they're done with the A-list actors and group directors and the high-profile films. They do well. They going to stick around. So with that being said, any parting words before we leave the ring?
Rocky 4 is still the best Rocky.
That's up for debate.
I say so.
So we hope you enjoyed our episode this week, and we hope you join us again next week with an all-new episode. So please help to support the podcast by giving us a 5-star rating, a good review, or another way you can support us is to simply subscribe and or follow us on Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Audible, Boomplay, or wherever you get your podcast fix. Keep in mind that we're not a monetized podcast. We ask for no donations. We do this for free and because we love it, and we love to share this subject of film with everybody. So just listen and support. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, where we drop promos and trailers for upcoming episodes. Also, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and check out our YouTube channel. All the links, they are in our show notes. You can also contact us directly by email to thefilmjoepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, get your feedback,
and hear what your opinion is on your favorite boxing movie.
Outstanding. So with that being said, I'm Joe.
I'm Carlos.
And this is the Filmjoe Podcast, where film talk happens.